Welcome back to the last part of our data science course before we do our demo. So this piece is going to be just about becoming a data scientist. Hopefully at this point you're like, oh, that sounds like it's a pretty cool field to be in. And I absolutely agree. So one of the cool things about data science, even though it's been a growing field for the last few years, it's still a small enough field that it feels like a community. And you can really become part of that community. It's very welcoming. People are out there, trying to figure out best ways to deal with data and looking for new information, right? I mean, everybody in this field is interested in data, and more data points in general are better. And so you can be one of those data points helping out the community. And so it's a great place to be, great time to do it. So what is the path to becoming a data scientist? So there's kind of this classical path. It's like, okay, so we're going to learn statistics. We're going to get really good at statistics, become professional statisticians. Then we're going to take some computer programming and apply some computer programming to that. We're going to jump into machine learning, and then we're going to practice. And I think that's a really easy path to follow, but I'm not sure it's the best path to follow. I think there's this really interesting thing that I've seen as an educator, that when you jump into something and kind of follow this classical path and like take course after course after course, you depending on how good of a student you are, you definitely learn this stuff, but you don't have any application to it. And so my view of becoming a data scientist is as follows: if you're totally new to the field, definitely you want to learn these core pieces. So you want to learn some statistics, you want to learn some computer programming, but you don't have to be masters at them. What you want to do is you want to find some data to love and explore. So you want to kind of understand these core basics, kind of understand level 1 stuff, maybe even dabble in some of the level 3 machine learning stuff, and neural nets and whatnot, but then go and say, I'm going to attack this data set and attack it, work with a community. You can easily go out there and talk to colleagues, send out stuff on Stack Overflow, talk about what you're trying to do, go to places like Kaggle, and enter competitions and join the community and say, I'm attacking this thing in way X, Y, or Z. I'm using k-means clustering. I'm using support vector machines, trying to do this thing. I don't understand this piece of it, or be open to that learning. And I think that's a really good way to kind of really accelerate your learning. And then once you kind of have that advanced core of knowledge, then go back and start taking the classes that you really want to take. So my view of it is, and learning in general, I think, you can learn so much more if you're passionate about it than you do if you're just kind of going through the motions. And so don't just go through the motions. Don't just take class after class after class if you don't really love it. And one way to love it is find something to do with it right away. And so my advice to you is, as I said, learn the basics, find some data, and just go for it. But if you like the more academic structure, there are a number of programs out there. I'd recommend the Microsoft Virtual Academy course that's specifically on data science. But there's wonderful YouTube videos out there about all sorts of things from machine learning to statistics that you can go through. So if you want to look at some data sets, UCI, University of California, Irvine, has some great data sets. Check out their stuff, and that's what we're going to be dealing with when we do our demo in Excel. And with that, I think I just want to go through a few takeaways. So, data science is really a scientific process. We're really applying the scientific method to things. We're taking data, we're asking questions about that data, we're making hypotheses about that data, we're running experiments, we're analyzing it, we're getting results out of that data. And there's kind of as I said, the white tower side of things and the applied side of things, but both of them really take an analytical approach to how we're approaching our data. So hopefully you kind of have a general sense of what data science is after this course. Then I think the next kind of step is, you really want to start gaining data intuition. And so, figuring out, what does a Gaussian curve actually mean? What is a t-test? All these things I think are really kind of the next step. Then, one thing I think a lot of us tend to do when we're learning something new is we try to take everything at once. And it's good to kind of get that big big overview, but really dive in on a piece and learn incrementally. So take a piece and like, spend an hour, really sitting down and just like, I'm going to learn, all I can about, coefficient of determination, and just stay focused on it. So that's another piece that I want you to take away from this. And the last piece is, to keep that focus and keep that drive, you really need to be passionate about what you're trying to learn. And so if you don't have that passion, I think it's really hard to learn. Even if you're like, oh, I really want to do these amazing things as a data scientist because they have great jobs. That's not really the right way to become a data scientist. I really want to deal with this data because it's something that I'm excited about, rather than like the end point of getting a great job or whatever. So with that, I think what we're going to move on to is a demo, just trying to talk about some of the level 1 tools that you can do in Excel. Again, this is a piece that some of you may know already. If you do, it's okay to move on and jump in and start learning about data science on your own. If you're at the point where you kind of just want to see how somebody might attack it, I think this next chapter will be pretty fun to watch. So thanks again.